Today we'll be working on lesson 1.8, composite functions, and the first part of the lesson we're going to be plugging in numbers. So let's start on number 1. You're required to find f of h of 2. So as you can see, it's called composite function since you have a function h inside a function f. So in order to solve something like this, you have to start with step 1, which is to look at the inside and solve that first. So you have to start with h of 2. Now, what is the function h is equal to? H of x is equal to negative 3x plus 8. So let's start with that. And what you need to do to find h of 2, you have to plug in 2 for x. So it would be negative 3 into 2 plus 8. So h of 2 is equal to negative 6 plus 8. So h of 2 is equal to 2. Now, by finding the inside function, what you can do now is to move on to step 2, which is rewrite the function that they have given you, which is f of h of 2. Rewrite it as f, and we just found h of 2 to be just 2. h of 2 is 2. So you plug in that in f. So now f of 2 is equal, look at f of x, and as you can see, f of x is 4x minus 12. Now to find f of 2, you just plug in 2 for x. So f of 2 is equal to 8 minus 12. f of 2 is equal to negative 4. And that would be your final answer. So you can write your final answer as such. f of h of 2 is equal to negative 4. Okay? So let's review. When you have a composite function, a function inside a function, what you need to do is start with the inside first. Find h of 2. Once you find h of 2, you plug it in. So now you have f of 2. So you plug in 2 into x and you get the final answer. That's how you solve composite functions. Now please go ahead and do number 2 on your own. Pause the video and do it on your own. So as you can see, my final answer is 20. So let's review what we did. As you remember from before, what we did is that you need to find the function on the inside. So you start with the inside. So you find f of 2 to be equal to negative 4 by plugging 2 into x. Once you find f of 2, you rewrite the function as h of negative 4. So you plug in now negative 4 into the x of function h, and the final answer would be 20. So the composite function h of f of 2 is equal to 20. Now let's move on to number 7 in this sheet. So as you can see in number 7, you have 3 different functions, h, g, and f. So what you saw me doing is we always need to try to start with the function on the inside, which is h of 5. So let's go back to h and see what that is. H is h of x is equal to negative 3x plus 8. So we start with that function. And what you need to do is to plug in 5 in x. So my answer is going to be negative 3 into 5 plus 8. So h of 5 is equal to negative 15 plus 8, which is equal to negative 7. Now you move on. We did h, now we have to move on to g. So g of this answer, which is negative 7, is equal to, you go back to g, which is function of g, and you look at your equation. So g of x is equal to negative 2x plus 6. So now what you need to do is you need to plug in negative 7 in x. So it would be negative 2 into negative 7 plus 6. So g of negative 7 is equal to, and negative with a negative makes a positive. So 14 plus 6 is a 20. Now this answer is going to be the input for f. So f now of 20 is equal to what? So go back to your function f. f of x is equal to 4x minus 12 So 4 into the new x, the new input. So f of 20 is equal to 80 minus 12, which is equal to 68. That's going to be your final answer. So you rewrite it as f of g of h is equal to 68. So that's going to be your final answer, and this is how you write it at the end. Now go ahead, move on to number 8 and do that on your own. Then play the video again to check your answer. So as you can see, the final answer is going to be negative 154. And since this is a composite function made up of 3 functions, we have 3 different steps. You start with the function on the inside, which is f, and you find what f of negative 3 is. You get negative 24. Now this answer, this output, becomes the input of h. You see that? And now you work with h next. The answer of f of negative 2 should be plugged in the x of h. So that's the input now. You get an 80. And again, this will become the input for g. So g of 80 would give you negative 154, and that would be the answer, the final answer for the whole composite function. Now let's move on to lesson 1.9, which is basically the same concept, but instead of dealing with numbers, we are dealing actually in plugging functions into functions. Okay, so let's move on to. Now in this slide, we're going to be dealing with like as you can see, plugging in a function in another. So let's start with the first one, f of g of x. As you can see, we have g on the inside. So that is what we need to plug in f. So what is g of x? As you can see, g of x is negative 1/3 x plus 2. So what you need to do is to put f, and what is g? G is negative 1/3 x plus 2. So now you need to plug this, all of this, in the x of f. So what is the function f? It's 3x minus 6. So you put 3 parentheses minus 6. You see that? So 3x minus 6 is 3 parentheses minus 6. And what goes in these parentheses is the g, the function g. So let's do that. So as you can see, we're plugging the function g in the x. Now, 3 times negative, so what you need to do next is to basically distribute. So it's going to be negative x plus 6 minus 6. So that's the function of g of x. Now let's move on to the third step. Plus 6 and negative 6 cancel out. So as you can see, the function of g of x is negative x. Now go ahead and try the other one on your own. Please pause the video. Now as you can see that g of f of x is negative x plus 4. Now let's go over the process. Now f should be plugged in g. So f, which is this, should be plugged in x. So it's going to be negative 1/3, as you can see, parentheses, and in here you're going to put f, function f, which is 3x minus 6, but don't forget to put the plus 2. Now what you need to do is to distribute. So you're going to get negative x plus 2 plus 2. So the final answer is going to be negative x plus 4. Because remember, negative 1/3 times 3 is just negative 1. The 3 cancel out. And negative 1/3 times negative 6, so 2 negatives will become a positive. 1/3 times 6 is basically a 2. Now let's move on to some other questions that are not on the notes sheet that you have, but I would like for you to add it to your. Now, for example, this one. So let's start with this one. As you can see here, they gave you a couple of functions, f, g, j, and k. and they're telling you find x so that h of g of f of x is equal to negative 34. So basically what they did is they gave you the final answer. So what you need to do is you need to take this and to simplify it like we learned. So let's start by finding this first. Then we set it equal to negative 34 and we'll go from there. So let's start with that. So h of g of f of x, we're going to forget about the negative 34 now. So we're going to simplify this one. So to do this one, always start with the inside. So I'm going to take g f of x first, work with that. So let's take it one step at a time. So now you need to plug in f and g. So the f should be plugged in the x of g. So g is basically x minus 2. So I'm going to put parentheses for x, and then I'm going to put minus 2 on the outside. And what's going to go in these parentheses is f. So 4x plus 3. See how we plugged in the function f in the x? So it's going to be 4x plus 3 minus 2, 4x plus 1, and this is g of f of x. Now, step 2 is to basically now look, what function do we have on the outside? It's h. So it's going to be h of whatever answer we got over here. So 4x plus 1, because we just found g of f of x, which is this one, to be 4x plus 1. So now it's h of 4x plus 1. Now go to function h. And I don't see it. Now since there's no h, I'm going to just create a new function h of x, just for the sake of this problem. I'm going to put it to be negative 3x plus 8. So consider this as to be a part of the given, okay? So now you need to plug in 4x plus 1 in h, okay? So you put negative 3, open parentheses where x is, plus 8. And now what's going to go into these parentheses? Exactly, 4x plus 1. So you're going to put 4x plus 1 in there. Okay, so let's continue. Distribute. You're going to get negative 12x minus 3 plus 8 is equal to negative 12x plus 5. So now h of all of those functions, which is the g and then the f of x, is equal to negative 12x plus 5. Now, let's go back to the problem. So see what we did? We took this, we simplified it, we got a linear function, because since all of them are linear, we're going to get a linear function. And now that function is negative 12x plus 5. And they're telling me that this negative 12x plus 5 is equal to negative 34. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this equal to negative 34, and basically I'm going to just solve for x. Now since I created function f, let's see what's going to happen, hopefully. So negative 39. Okay, so then you divide by negative 12, and x would be positive 39 over 12. You can simplify that by 3. So you're going to get 13 over 4, so x is equal to 13 over 4. That's going to be your final answer, and I did find x. So let's make this smaller so we can see the whole picture. Okay, so let's review what we did. Now h of g of f of x equals to negative 34, so I need to have a function of h given, a function of f given, and a function of g given. And they're telling me that all of that is equal to negative 34. So first of all, you take this, simplify it, so it's a two-step process, and then the function that you get, or whatever answer that you got, you set it equal to negative 34. So let's see how we got the negative 12x plus 5. Since it's h of g of f of x, you start with the inside first. So you plug in f and g. F, you plug it in the x of g. So x minus 2, so parentheses minus 2, and f goes in the parentheses. You simplify that to get 4x plus 1. Now, all of this is 4x plus 1. You need to plug this in h. Go to h and plug in 4x plus 1 where x is. So negative 3 parentheses plus 8. And 4x plus 1 goes in there. Distribute, simplify until you get negative 12x plus 5. Now, you got the final answer for this function. They're telling you it is equal to negative 34, so basically you set it equal to negative 34, and you solve for x to get 13 over 4. So, I hope this was helpful. Now let's move on to another on your sheet. Please add it. Now, let's do this one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 functions altogether. I'm going to give you some time, so please pause the video. Let's check if we have everything. So G is here, K is here, F is here, and J is here. Okay, so please pause the video, take your time, solve it, and then play the video again to look at the final answer. So as you can see, I got 112x plus 37 to be the answer. I hope you got that. If you did, you got it. If you didn't, please go over the steps with me. So let's start. You start with the function on the inside. So you need to plug in j and f. So let's look at f. F is basically 4x plus 3. So what you need to do is you need to plug in j, 14x plus 4, into the x. So as you can see, what I did is I did 4 parentheses plus 3, and the j went in the parentheses. You distribute and you simplify to get 56x plus 19. Now the next step is whatever answer you got now, which is the 56x plus 19, you have to plug it in k. So let's look at k. K is 2x plus 1, so 2 parentheses plus 1. And what goes in the parentheses is the answer you got in there. You see that? Now, you distribute and you simplify until you get 112x plus 39. Now, that answer for the k, now you need to plug it in g. You see that? Now, let's look at g. What is g? G is just x minus 2. So you put parentheses minus 2, and that goes in the parentheses. Again, here you don't need to distribute because there's nothing in front of the parentheses, so you can just disregard the parentheses. So 112x plus 39 minus 2 would be 112x plus 37, and that would be your final answer.